Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Pownell public hearing agenda on September 21st, 2022, 6 PM. Public hearing on the solid waste ordinance. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'm gonna do a roll call.
Angie Rawling,
Bob Jarvis,
Mike Gardner,
Megan Randall, I'm on the planning commission.
Doug Miller, Planning Commission.
John Rashid, Planning Commission.
Fanula, DRB,
Jim Winchester, Planning Commission.
Caitlin Rodham, I'm just here to.
thank you.
Stacy Boxer on the Planning Commission.
Michelle Peckrell on the Planning Commission.
Thank you all for attending. Approval of agenda, public hearing, public comment, and adjourn. I'll take a motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Angie,
Angie,
aye, sorry.
Bob,
Aye.
Mike, aye, approved. Public hearing. I'd like to open the public hearing. First thing that I'd like to say about this ordinance, is that this ordinance has been mislabeled both in, out in the general public and also in the media. It's not a junk ordinance. This is absolutely not what it is. It is a solid waste trash ordinance. So I'd like to say that first. I'm gonna read some of the things. I'm not gonna get into the definitions. I think that's too lengthy. The duties of the owners and occupants, enforcements and penalties, we'll touch on that a little bit. So I'm gonna read the authority in the ordinance itself. This ordinance is enacted pursuant to the authority granted to the town of Pownell to adopt, amend, repeal, and enforce ordinances by 24 VSA 1971 to promote the public health, safety, and welfare, to regulate or prohibit the storage or dumping of solid waste, and compel the cleaning of any premises in which the judgment of the legislative body is dangerous to the health and safety of the public by 24 VSA, on and on. The power to prohibit the throwing, depositing, burning, and dumping of refuse by 24 VSA 2201. The power to manage and regulate solid waste disposal within its boundaries by 24 VSA. The power to enforce solid waste ordinance by 24 VSA. The power to license or regulate itinerant vendors, peddlers, door-to-door salesmen, and those selling goods, wares, merchandise, or services who engage in a transient or temporary business or who sell from an automobile, truck, wagon, or other conveyance, excepting persons selling fruits, vegetable, or other farm produce by 24 VSA. The power to provide for penalties for violations of any ordinance adopted. This ordinance shall be a civil ordinance within the meaning of 24 VSA. Section 2 is the purpose. It is the purpose, and I think this is really an important thing that we really need to pay attention to. It is the purpose of this ordinance to regulate the disposal of solid waste, the location and outdoor storage of waste and household trash in the town of Pownell in order to protect the public health, safety, and well-being and to protect the environment. I'm not gonna go into the definitions. I think that's, they're all pretty self-explanatory. Someone has a question on them, I guess we can revisit that. I'll touch a little bit on duty of owners and occupants. The general requirement, it shall be the responsibility of each owner, agent, occupant, or leasee to keep his or her property free of litter, refuse, garbage, solid waste, and trash. She or he shall be responsible for removing litter, refuse, garbage, solid waste, or trash accumulating on said property.
Spelling error there.
I'm not gonna get into a whole bunch more on that. It's litter is prohibited, no owner agent, shall allow the storage or accumulation. Once again, it's talks about garbage, waste, trash. Screening, if an owner, agent, occupant, or leasee deems above named material to be of use or value, she or he is required to screen it from view of traveled way and abutting property occupants. I think that's fairly important. Outdoor sales, such as tag sales or flea markets, shall not have goods or debris left outside longer than 3 consecutive days. Sellers shall remove all evidence of sale, merchandise by dusk of the day following close of the sale and between all sales. Covering merchandise with a tarp does not fulfill this requirement. Items being put out as free must be removed within 2 days if not taken. This ordinance does not apply to farm stands and outdoor sale of agricultural products. Enforcement and penalties. Any violation of this ordinance shall be a civil matter which may be enforced in the Vermont Judicial, Vermont Judicial Bureau or in the Superior Court at the election of the Town of Pownell Select Board. Each day that the violation continues shall constitute a separate violation of this ordinance. Violations enforced in the Judicial Bureau shall be in accordance with the provisions of 24 VSA. A civil penalty of not more than $800 per violation may be imposed for violation of this ordinance. A municipal ticket will be issued by the enforcement officer if the violation has not been corrected in accordance with this ordinance. For purposes of enforcement in the Judicial Bureau, the designated enforcement officer shall issue tickets and may be the appearing officer at any hearing. The municipal attorney may also be the appearing officer at the hearing at the direction of the Town of Pownell Select Board. The enforcement officer is authorized to recover civil penalties in the following amounts or as established by the Judicial Bureau for each violation of this ordinance. First offense is a $50 full penalty, $25 waiver penalty. Second offense is a $100 full, $50 waiver. Third is $200 full, $100 waiver. Fourth offense, $400 full, $200 waiver. Subsequent offense is $800 full, $400 waiver.
Excuse me, Mike, could you explain what the waiver penalty means?
The waiver penalty is if the violator chooses not to go to court.
Oh, I see. Oh, good idea.
So if you we file an offense and give them a ticket and they agree to the ticket for the first offense, instead of paying 50, they pay the 25 if we don't go to court.
Fair.
Violation. That's where you left off.
Yeah, I was just kind of skimming it in. I don't know if
Where could people, this is on the town website, the whole ordinance is.
we'll cover that in a minute.
Yeah.
I just want to go over this. Hit the bullet points.
How about who enforces?
Yeah.
Would be the select board.
Right, the select board is the enforcing, is the enforcement officer. And we can designate an enforcement officer.
I just want you to make that.
Right, the select board, the select board is the enforcing authority, but we can designate an enforcement officer to take care of this, whether it be a sheriff or whether it be, the animal control officer, or I'm just being hypothetical here, but we can designate someone to be the enforcement officer. I'll read section 7. If any section of this ordinance is held by a court of competent jurisdiction to be invalid, such findings shall not invalidate any other part of this ordinance. If any statute referred to in this ordinance shall be amended, this ordinance shall be deemed to refer such amended statute. The effective date, ordinance shall become effective 60 days after its adoption or at such time following the expiration of the 60 days from the date of its adoption as is determined by the Town of Pownell Select Board. If a petition is filed, that statute shall govern the taking effect of this ordinance.
There was there was an error on the published one on the website. It said it would be effective October 10th. It's actually the 26th, and that copy may have the October 10th date on it as well.
It does.
It is
Yep.
the 26th,
October 26th, there?
September 26th.
Oh, September 26th. Thank you. That's what I thought we did.
That's the 60 days after you guys approved it.
Thank you. That's what I thought. I didn't think it was October 26th.
Yeah.
I remember September. So the date of adoption was July 28th. Date published in the banner sent for publication was August 12th. Date posted in 5 locations, August 15th. Date the ordinance becomes effective, September 26th, 2022. So at this point, I'd like to open to our members of the Planning Commission and the DRB. I'd also like to thank them for all of the work that was done on this. It was a lot of work that you guys have put in here. And I think the town, I'd like to thank the townspeople who have had some input here. I think there's a few of them out there too. I don't think it was just members, but I really and truly appreciate the hard work that the Planning Commission and DRB has put in on this ordinance, as well as the select board members. So I'd like to open it up to our Planning Commission, well, select board members, Planning Commission, and then DRB, I guess in that order, because that's the way it's up there at the top. Select board members, Bob, do you have anything you'd like to add?
I don't. I think it's been on the website. I think people have had a chance to read it, and we have our public sessions that we talked about it. I think they can view those as well. I nothing else to be said other than I really appreciate the work of the Planning Commission, and that was it was a good collaborative effort, and of course it's always easier to do things like we did on the select board, which is add some things and do some edits. But creating it from scratch was the real work, and that's very much appreciated.
Angie, do you have anything?
No, I agree with what Bob says, and it was really nice to be able to work with everybody collaboratively.
Perfect. I guess what I'll do is I'll go around to each Planning Commission member. I'll start with you, Michelle, if that's okay.
Sure. I think that we did get this down to something that everybody can understand. And you were correct. It's not about junk. It's about public safety of having trash and other things like that. And I think that having this will help get things cleaned up and keep people safe.
Thank you, Michelle. Stacy?
Hi there. Yeah, it was a pleasure working with everybody. And it got taken care of because we all worked together. I'd like to see this finally get enforced because I know this has been a problem for the town for many, many years before I even came here. And I think it's going to be an exceptional thing for the town. Thanks.
Fred Miller?
Yeah, I would just say, this was really, a good project for everybody to work together on it. The planning commission worked in a good spirit of collaboration. We had differences of opinion a few times and we talked them out really nicely and things went really well. And it was good combining with the select board and the developer review board as well. I think the people in the town should be proud of this. It's a good piece of work, I think, and it's a good step towards ensuring we have the power that we want to have.
Thank you, Fred. John?
I don't think there's a whole lot to add to all that. I just want to say more to the public in general. It seems like, every time something like this comes out, everybody gets offensive to it because they're like, it's a new change. I think it's a change for the good. What I wanted to ask is just a comment to the public that way to say, try to work with it. It's not a bad thing. It's going to help clean up our town. And it's going to be a good thing going forward. So, there will be resistance, I'm sure, but let's try to make it the best possible way. If we have some discrepancies on it or something, a town member has that they don't like, please just talk to anybody here at this town or anybody that's on board, and we can try to help them straighten it out.
I think that's it in your planning commission meeting.
Yes, I think that the image of Pownell is going to be greatly improved if we can clean it up a lot. And that will bring more development, more people wanting to live here, more people wanting to have businesses here. So I think that it's something simple and concrete that we can do. And I agree that we really worked hard together. We were very, very careful throughout the process in the planning commission to treat everyone in our constituency with respect and to speak of them respectfully, and to try hard not to get people to become defensive. And I believe that the select board will be standing by to help people in any way they can if they don't understand or whatever.
For sure.
If they, not to make any promises, but I think that this will do a lot for our town. Which is incidentally a beautiful place.
I don't think I have any more planning commission members, right? So on to the DRB, Cindy.
I think it's a great step in the right direction. I just love the fact that everybody worked together on it. That's awesome, and just take it and take it for what it is, and it's a good thing and something tangible you can read, and everybody will understand and be on the same page. And if there's anything to add to it, anyone can step up and say, hey, how about this? So.
I think all three boards are kind of on the same page, and we went out of our way not to pick on anybody.
That's right.
And can only reason with reasonable people. Let's see what the people say.
Bear with me for just 1 minute. I'm making a couple notes. Sorry. And it was just, these are in relation to some of the comments that you guys have thrown at me. This is my opinion. I think this trash ordinance was designed very well. I think it was a lot of hard work. And I wanna say that I don't think this ordinance that we have adopted is there to single anybody out. Jimmy touched on that. This is about the residents and the properties in the entire town of Pownell. It's not about one single person or a group or a community or anything. It's about the entire town. I will also ask, because I know that this has happened a couple of times since I've been the zoning administrator. With a new ordinance like this, I think we need to be a little bit patient too. I don't think we go out of here both guns, both barrels blazing. I think we give our residents a little bit of an opportunity to try to do it themselves. A little educational period, I guess, if you will. And I'm not sure that's the right term, but I think it is. you know, to get some stuff out there. Maybe we do a couple of warnings. You know, but I think patience is going to be key. I think if we come out of here as, board members, whether it be board and commission members, sorry. If we come out of here and we think that we're gonna clean it up by next Friday, I think we're way out of touch with reality. And I don't think anybody here thinks that. I just want to state it. I think patience is gonna be, a huge part of making this thing work and cleaning up our town. I don't have a whole lot of other things to say on it. I think it's very well written. I think we've touched on most everything that there's things that are gonna pop up. I mean, let's face it, somebody's gonna come in here and do something or whatever that's not in this ordinance or whatever. It happens everywhere, every time you do something, but then we adjust. But I think for the most part, we've covered everything and done a really good job with it. And that's all I have to say. If everyone's good, I'd like to open it up to public comment, and that being the case, I'm gonna open it up to Caitlin and, I'm sorry? Rick, okay. I'd like to open it up to you. If you're here, I'm gonna give you the chance to have public comment first before anybody
No, I
else out there.
really want to thank you all. This is a really terrific job, and it's nice to see collaboration like this.
For sure.
It's very impressive, so thank you.
I agree. Who's going to go out and tell people they have to get rid of their junk? I know you said that.
We're not, this is trash.
They're trash. They're solid waste.
There you go,
That's
perfect.
the wording that I should be using. You said that the select board can designate a person or persons. Has such a person been designated? Is there an idea of who's going to jump in the car and to go around and start talking to people?
I haven't personally, discussed it with anyone. I think that's something that the board needs to do. I think if someone comes to the Board of Health, which is the select board, with this particular ordinance and says to us, or to the health officer, and then he comes to the Board of Health. Listen, there's 30 bags of garbage and household trash on, I'm gonna pick on you, Caitlin, I'm gonna on Caitlin Randall's property. Then it's our duty to either send the health officer out, maybe we send the sheriff over, maybe one of the board members goes over and looks at it. I mean, and then we bring it back and then we go from there. That's my vision.
Yeah.
But that's me.
I just
So it's
wanna,
really the responsibility of the citizens of Pownell to kind of look around and say, you know, this person has a lot of junk in their yard and we should do something about it.
but it's not junk,
So it's-
solid waste.
I get it. But I just.
It's a good idea for a board member first, and then, you know, discuss it with whoever.
Well, I think personally, if somebody out there has an issue, a problem, that we should send them this, they might not know that it's gonna become, you know, effective. And then give them a couple of days to read it and look it over, and then contact us with any questions or whatever. And then if there's any way that we can help them, we can help them.
And I think that's probably a good idea. I think that's something that the select board, we need to sit down and discuss.
Right.
On how we're gonna handle that. But I truly believe, I know that as a zoning administrator, working with Fred as the health officer, back and forth on some things that we've worked on together. The approach that Fred and I have been using on health violations or and so on and so forth, I think that approach has been working for the most part. We'll come to you and say, listen, got a complaint, there's rats, like you can see them, you know, please, let's get this cleaned up. What can we do to help you? What, you know what I mean? And I think that approach, rather than to sit here on a Thursday night and say that we're gonna send you a violation notice and you owe us $50.
So-
Right off the bat. That's, but there again, I want to bring this to the board. And that's a whole nother meeting with, I'll get to you guys, I promise. I just think I think that's the best approach to start with. So Jimmy?
Okay, you guys can be gone somewhere. Ms. Parks here gets a phone call from a resident. What's your role in this?
Mostly probably passing messages along, but I will say that once it's effective, I think the board can meet and discuss how they wanna react to the different situations and who they're gonna have.
Because you're the one person that's here all the
Yeah, I
time.
will.
Well, there's two of them. I mean, her and Hannah were,
Yeah.
so both of them, but ultimately, if Hannah receives the call, she's gonna go to Tara, and then Tara's gonna come wherever we decide as a board it needs to go.
And I think we sort of have a little bit of time while the board makes those decisions to educate people and really get the word out that there is this new ordinance and this is what we're working on and seeing other people that are gonna come to us and say, oh, I really wanna clean up my yard, how can I,
Yeah,
do that?
I can't afford it.
And that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So giving that time
Need some help.
before we, institute.
So I have a question about, well, you mentioned rats, and are we waiting for rats? Because, I mean,
No.
this ordinance makes it illegal to leave your garbage, your household trash, outside in your yard in plastic bags, period. It doesn't say it's illegal when rats come. It doesn't even say it's illegal if the neighbors, until you know what I mean?
I was probably being a little dramatic.
I know, but I'm saying,
No, I
I'm
understand.
saying you're putting a big emphasis on the health effects, but I think that the image effects are also very important to us,
Well, no, for sure.
you
I
know,
don't disagree with that. I don't. I just,
just
I was,
pointing that out.
yeah, I was probably being a little more dramatic. That's okay. John?
One of the things I think has to be addressed first, I think would be one of our first steps, is whoever is gonna be elected to go out at that point in time would have to determine whether it's what it is. I mean, somebody drives by or somebody calls and says, I see this out in their yard, that might be just junk out there. That needs to be, could be hauled away, maybe scrap, whatever, but it may not be just trash. So they have to go there and determine whether it's an actual viable complaint or if it's just that they saw something and because they didn't like seeing it out in the middle of the yard.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that's totally.
Otherwise, they're just going right after everybody that has something in their yard.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
Just to follow up, you're talking about complaints, right? Citizen complaints, I presume. But that's not in the ordinance anywhere. There's no.
Was
Is
originally.
there?
I don't think it's in there, Rick, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's in there, but I think that's probably how they're gonna get, for the most part, they're probably gonna get generated that way, I would think.
Do we put that in the information that when we go to educate people about this? Are we inviting complaints?
Well, I mean, I also think we have to be a little bit careful.
Yeah.
Because what if, two neighbors are in a feud?
Yeah, exactly.
And a person has a bag of, I don't know, they have 10 bags of rags outside of their house. It's not that they're using it for something, but it's not really trash, but it's in green.
No, it's my treasure. It's your treasure.
It's green garbage bags. That's not really household waste or solid waste. Because, maybe it's someone who does quilting and they leave it outdoor. I don't know. I'm just being hypothetical.
I hope they don't leave it.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know. I'm just, trying to throw out all kinds of examples. I'm not sure.
It seems the first step is education. I realize it's been in the banner and it's on the website. I think people don't need to really understand what this is.
I agree.
We talked about a general mailing at one point. I don't know if the funds weren't there or how what the.
We never discussed it any further. I
guess we went in the planning commission. We talked.
I think that's why I really think that, being patient on this is a huge key, because education is going to be such a huge part of this particular ordinance versus.
On both sides.
Right. For, on the select board side, because we have to get educated on it, right? We have to be educated on how we're going to handle a situation.
We're all in this together.
That's right. And, you know, all of the boards and commission members, we really need to educate ourselves, I think, on how we're going to handle it. And then I think it's really extremely important to educate the residents and get them on board with what's going on. And I think there's things that we need to look into, you know. If someone has a tremendous problem financially, I don't know, you know, there's a lot of things that have come to my mind on this particular ordinance. You know, if somebody just financially can't take their 30 bags of garbage to the transfer station, then what do we do? You know, there's options, I guess, you know, there's
Freedom Day.
We need to be,
We have that already.
I just want to chime in. We do need to be very careful that this isn't a heavy-handed approach. If this turns out to impact a large number of our population, then that's too heavy-handed, right? So it shouldn't impact too many people. It should only impact the violators. And of course, what I consider a violator and what someone else will consider a violator are going to differ considerably. So we really need to be careful not to take a heavy-handed approach to this, but we also want to get the impact of it. We want to make sure that we get the benefit of the ordinance. So the high visibility areas and things of that nature.
Megan, I want to open it up to public comment from our listeners, if there's anyone out there that has their hands up.
Jim, do you want to unmute?
Sorry, I'll get back to you, I promise.
Hello, people. Thank you very much for this. Number one, I think this is.
Can you please state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jim Kosis, North Mason Hill Road. I want to just thank everyone for this, this step going forward. Megan, I want to give you a special thank you for spearheading this whole thing, bringing it to the Planning Commission and sticking with it and enabling them to do what they need to do to bring it to the select board for approval. The one thing I've read over this whole thing, and it is great. The one thing I just think that might be missing, but things are going to happen down the road, is just a definition of household trash. It's in the title, solid waste and household trash. I think there's going to be a total confusion of what is household trash. So I think that should be something that might be added into the definitions. I know there is waste, and I see that there is household trash. I agree there should be at least a month, 2 months educational period on this. My last question is, I just want to confirm that this goes into effect on Monday. And just to confirm between now and Monday that there has been no petition that has been initiated within the first 40 days that will affect this at this point that we know of. Thank you very much, and you guys have a great night.
I just want to say that I didn't spearhead it, so to speak. I think that we all work together. And the select board asked us to come up with an ordinance. Isn't that correct? As I recall. So
I think it was just,
I don't want to take, you know.
I understand that.
It's not good to have ego in there. And
I just think we all worked really hard to get
yeah.
this into place,
Yeah.
and we all know that, and
Yeah.
well, I think we all should be fine with that. Anyone else, Tara?
Raise your hand if you'd like to make public comment, please.
And I encourage public comment, please. I mean, it's not, especially on this, I think it's a pretty important thing. I think there's quite a few people in the waiting room, and I'd really like to encourage some public comment.
Catherine Green.
Hi, we're traveling, so if we cut out, we apologize. This is Catherine and Tobias Green. We live on North Pownell Road. And it did cut out a bit before, so I don't know if it's already been addressed. Just wondering if there's a...
Oh no, we lost her.
Try
again.
Catherine, we heard everything except the question.
Oh no.
You can type it, you can type it in the chat box.
Is there anyone else while we hope that she reconnects or types it in for us?
If there's anybody else, please raise your hand so I know that you're waiting to speak. I don't see anybody but her, and there are 15 people in there.
Yeah, and I really and truly would encourage some public comment.
Oh, she left. Oh, chat.
Yeah, Bob's on the chat, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I sent her a chat telling her she cut out and she could type her.
She left the meeting now.
What I'd like to do is offer her the chance to, send us an email.
Yeah.
You know, with her question. Then we can field that question even if we answer it tomorrow night.
Yeah,
Did you get her name?
yeah, she did, yeah.
Catherine Green.
Catherine provides, North Pownell.
Yeah.
Yeah, North Pownell Road, yeah.
So I'd like to give her a chance to answer that question tomorrow night, if she so chooses. We can do that under the first public comment, if she sends it in.
Perfect.
Is there any more public comment? I think we've covered most everything. I think,
So,
I'm sorry, I just want to say that just in case anyone is Zoom challenged and can't figure out how to raise your hand, feel free to take yourself off mute and start talking and go ahead and ask the question.
yeah, that's a good point, Bob.
Thank you, Bob.
Great point.
I go back and forth between these things and, Teams, Zoom, and a bunch of other things. So I often don't know myself.
so the question of what is household trash is a very good one, and I think that definition has to go in there. I don't know, I thought it was in there.
Well, we did, that was a
Bless you.
that was a difficult question, even reaching out to our attorney. In fact, he gave us a heads up that you're going to have a hard time. You're going to have a hard time with that portion of it. Some of those definitions, and that's why and that's where I'm a little concerned, is that it becomes subjective. And
Yes.
Some people like a pristine lawn for everybody who lives in Pownell. That's not going to happen, and that's not the intent. But others can tolerate quite a bit, and that's not the intent either. So there's unfortunately there is going to be some subjectivity there, no matter how we do it. We can reach out again and see if we can refine that definition to be less subjective and more definitive. But it's going to be a challenge.
Any other comment?
Richard is unmuted. Richard, would you want to make a comment?
Yeah, I would. Could you perhaps explain a little bit more? Because I still am a little vague on this, on what's going to be happening with the ongoing tag sales that we see, where we just see, tables of stuff that didn't sell, and it just seems to be out there for forever.
Years.
It seems to me like talking about garbage.
So,
you want to go for that, Bob?
Sure. I don't have the ordinance in front of me, and I probably should. I probably shouldn't be admitting that I don't have it in front of me. But the way that it's addressed in the ordinance is that is a tag sale has to have everything out daily. You can't leave stuff outside overnight. So leaving it out overnight is a violation in and of itself. So that's going to be I think that was the key portion of it. But
they have 3 days to have it consecutive, right? And then it has to be put away.
Right, but we were careful not to limit a tag sale, right? You can put stuff out and take it in, and put stuff out and take it in. You could do that all year long if you want. If you really
Every day.
in sub-zero weather, we didn't want to limit any opportunities, but we did want to make sure that they were cleaning up. So they cannot keep stuff outside for more than 3 consecutive days. And I think some of the ones that are going to be problematic are the ones that leave it out there perpetually.
Yeah, typically you'll see them on a table, and
when they started to get religion, they would put a tarp over it. But
And that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Richard. That is actually addressed directly in the ordinance. It says covering it with tarp does not meet the requirement. It actually addressed that specifically.
nice work,
Sorry,
nice work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for this.
Caroline Martell, you're unmuted. Did you want to speak?
Maybe so.
She's definitely unmuted.
Is Carolyn Martell going to speak? Do you have a comment?
Nope, she's muted now. So
Okay.
So if there's nothing else, I think we've done an outstanding job. I think this takes effect on Monday. I think we need to put it on the agenda for the next regular select board meeting. Which I think would be the first one in August, right? Or October, I mean.
I wish you were going back to August.
No, not me. No, yeah, I was thinking next August, sorry. I was thinking August of 23. I'm trying to jump ahead a little bit, in case you couldn't tell. Yeah, if we could throw that on the agenda for the select board to discuss how we're gonna, the enforcement officer portion of it.
I think you should also put the household trash definition back on the agenda and see if you can come up with something that,
The only thing that we'd have to do with that, Megan, is I think we'd have to, I don't know the legalities, whether we'd have to do the whole ordinance all over, or if there's an addendum. I think that before I put that on the agenda,
okay, good.
I was gonna have Tara look into that, to see what the legalities are
Okay,
to
gotcha.
change the ordinance just by adding one definition. I think it changes the whole entire thing, and I think we go through this process again. So I want to look into that before we.
That's a legitimate question.
No, it is a legitimate question. I'm afraid that if we try to put that definition in there.
It's always the trouble. If you define it too much narrowly, then you're
But
in trouble.
then we
Or if you
go
make it
back to
too
the
broad, you're
drawing
in
board
trouble.
and we throw this ordinance out and
Yeah,
then we
yeah.
don't have
Good
anything
point.
and we start over. I don't want to do that. So with that being said, I once again appreciate everybody's hard work on this. I appreciate all your time. The public input tonight was refreshing for a change. We don't get a lot of that on things and it's very refreshing to see it and to hear what people have to say. With that being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Good try though. Good try. Any discussion? All those in favor, Angie,
Aye.
Bob,
Aye.
Mike, aye. Thank you again, everyone, for being here tonight. Nice try, Megan.